You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this May 18th, 2020 evening. And Chris, we're back again in the month of May here, and all's good in the world, I think. It seems like things are getting better. I know in Florida they announced tomorrow they'll be, well, today, I guess, Monday, they'll be opening the gyms. So people in Florida are very happy about that.
You only care about the bagel store.
The bagel store never closed, luckily for me. I'm just not allowed to go to it every day like I used to do in the past. I have to go and buy bagels for a whole week, once a week. I
believe the New York Pro was a year ago this weekend, and it feels like it was like 4 years ago.
That's right. Can you believe it? We had this. I mean, this is New York Pro weekend, and there's no New York Pro, not till later in the year.
It's crazy.
I was trying to figure out. I wanted to buy another webcam because since we do the show on webcam, I'm using an old webcam, and I have such sophisticated equipment, and I have this crazy looking old webcam. So I'm trying to figure out what to buy, and I'm online, and I'm like Googling, and the gold standard in webcam seems to be Logitech. That company.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you must use something built into your laptop or something like that?
No, I have a little, Dave, come on.
Oh, you have a little thing that sits on top too, like I do? Okay.
Yeah, like an ancient thing.
Well, I'm going to try. I'm going to get one. If it works, I'll get you one. So, although you look really good for some reason on yours. I don't know why.
Well,
so I
use the one that I put in my Airbnbs to spy on people.
Oh, yeah, that's smart. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, which one should I get? There's so many different ones. There's 40 different models. They're all, I don't know what to get. So I'm thinking, you know what? I think, and then I actually remember I grew up with a kid by the name of Scott Wharton. He was one of my best friends. We used to run track together, run cross country. We'd go in. I was always at his house. I loved his dad. His dad used to sneak us into the movie theater through the back door. Mm-hmm. I thought it was the coolest thing. He was mortified by it, but we would go to the movies. Like he would take us on like 12 noon on a Saturday, and we would stay and we'd sneak into all the different. We'd watch 4 movies. We'd stay all day long. We'd play pinochle with him. It was like I loved him. I thought he was the greatest guy. Scott was mortified by him only because it was his dad, But I had such a good time. Anyway, Scott went on, and they went to Binghamton. I went up. We used to go up and visit him up there when I was in Franklin and Marshall. I would drive up and visit him, and then he went to Yale Graduate School, believe it or not. And I kind of lost track with him, but he started. I don't know if he started the company or he somehow was involved with the company. He owned Logitech.
Wow.
He owned it. He sold it to whoever owns Logitech now, but
crazy. So
he's still on as the vice president over there. So I'm like, fuck, man, who would know the Logitech cameras better than he would? So I hadn't talked to him in a long time. So I Facebooked him. I said, hey, Scott, what's up? Long time no talk. Miss you, man. I said, I want to buy a webcam. Which Logitech should I buy? And he said, they got a new one out called the StreamCam. He's like, the StreamCam seems to be, but it sold out everywhere. I found it someplace on some obscure websites. I ordered it from them. So if you guys are looking for a webcam, the guy who owns the company told me that, the new StreamCam by Logitech is the best one, or seems to be the easiest one to use. It has the best technology in it. So that's what I'm buying. So the only reason I'm announcing this is because I already bought it. If I would have, with my luck, I would tell everyone to go buy it. They would be sold out everywhere. But evidently, because it's so popular, people are all buying it.
So is it on its way? It's being shipped?
Yeah, I bought this little light ring, which I have, which I think it's improving my lighting too in here. Because I'm so used to just sitting in my studio across the driveway there.
Mm-hmm.
When Tyler's engineering everything, I don't have to do anything. But when we film at like midnight till like 2 a.m. So I got to have like a better setup in my house computer room. So anyway, I was just telling you guys that for your own good. All right, what else? I've been seeing all these pictures that have been leaking out from the Bob Grushkin files. You put up some good pictures yourself there. Let me see if I can share this picture.
Jerry Scalise's got some.
I'm going to go to Jerry after you.
Jerry, man.
Let's go to yours first. There it is. There's the technician.
Those are the famous Bob Gruskin.
Where was that taken? Give us the story behind that picture.
That is taken in Bob's second bedroom at 2512 Kingsland Avenue, Bronx, New York. That's in his house. He had a backdrop in one of the old bedrooms.
That's awesome. Was it like always there? Like he never took it down?
It was always set up. So you'd walk in the kitchen. It would be a bodybuilding kitchen extraordinaire with a scale and every amount of, spice and non-sugar type. He had everything that you would ever want in a bodybuilding kitchen. And then off the kitchen would be one bedroom with a twin bed. That the mattress was completely worn out because bodybuilding.
Did someone tell us that was his bed as a kid or something like that?
Yeah, I think Jerry
Jerry told us that.
And then the other bedroom was this studio that he had set up, and then the living room was off limits, and it had plastic on every single item in it. And then the cave, the basement, was where the scale was, the mirror, and all the files that he kept on people. Someone had sent me, Scott Politano sent me my file, and it had every single letter I ever wrote him from 15 or 16 years old up into family photos just recently.
Wow.
I mean, it's like this colossal folder.
It's insane.
So Scott sent me the pictures, and he sent me if you click on that to the right, Dave, there's more pictures.
That's a good picture too. Oh, there is. Oh, let me go back.
Yeah, if you scroll on that.
No, it's not scrolling.
No. On the.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. There's your classic shot. Bob loved that little shot.
He loved that shot. He'd have everyone do that shot.
Those are good pictures. It's great. And you didn't even know he had them, right?
I didn't know. No.
Is there more that you've been trickling them up?
More. Yeah, there's more. There's a lot more.
Like how many pictures did he have? I bet there's undeveloped rolls of film too that he probably.
There is. I have undeveloped rolls of film.
Oh, we would put the rolls in with the files too.
Yeah, Dave, I can show you right here on live. I can.
You got to be so psyched to see what those things look like.
Dave,
undeveloped film. Come on, man. That's exciting.
I told you the file of itself smelled like Pall Malls cigarettes because he would smoke the minute he get up to the minute he went to bed.
And his lungs were fine, right?
He'd do it there. He'd talk with the cigarette in his mouth like that.
I know. I remember.
Oh, let's see side chest with the hands clasped.
I'm trying to figure out how to keep talking. I'm trying to figure out how to get another picture up that I'm going to surprise people with. Hold on.
Oh man. So that's it. So people are getting their, files. I don't know how many of those files he kept on people, probably his top 50 favorites. You got to find the Jerry Scalise pictures.
I'm going to pull this up, but I got a better one that you sent me that you don't remember, but I'm going to send it. I'm going to put it up in a second. Hold on. Doug got a ton of pictures from Bob. I think he did. I think Doug got pictures from that.
I'm sure he did.
Who's sending out all these pictures?
Scott I
think you said his name. Yeah. Now, what was Scott's relationship with him?
Scott was a really good amateur bodybuilder who, was really tight. Him and his brother, they're both bodybuilders. I forget Richie. I think it's Richie and Scott. They're very tight with Bob. Everyone was tight with Bob.
Did they live near him? Is that why?
They lived in York, Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's not close.
But they did prep for shows and go to his house, and Bob would go to their house, and Bob would get on buses and take off to York, Pennsylvania to go visit him.
That's crazy. That's not around the corner. That's where I went to college, was right near York. Yeah, I'd like to tell you the story about how I ran home.
You ran home.
I ran a track meet in hold on, let me get this back to this. I ran a track meet in York, Pennsylvania. It was about 20. It was 12 or 13 miles away from my college in Lancaster, and We ran a track meet there, which was a 3.1 mile race on the track. It was 5K. I did well. And I didn't think the workout was enough. Typical stupid me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I said, I'm going to run back. I'll meet you guys back home. I'm going to do a run. I just feel like, I said, I got to get it. They're like, you sure? You sure? Yeah. They all took the bus back. And I got lost. I ran for 3 hours. I probably ran 25 miles. I was actually had tears in my eyes. The problem is that in that area, Lancaster area, it's very rural. There's like farms. It's not like you can, there's not like 1,000 houses you can just go in and say, where the hell am I? And there was no GPSs. There was no phones. I didn't know where I was. I don't know how I even got back. I don't know. I remember I got back to the dorm. I was starving and my body was aching, and I had the kind of condition I could run forever, but I was so frustrated that I called my grandmother up. I was crying on the phone. It's like almost like crying. I was in tears on the phone with my grandmother because I knew she would be my mother's side. I knew she would be the Jewish grandmother. I knew she'd be the only one to give me enough sympathy, like to actually make me feel better about myself. So I called her up and she talked me down. She's like, "Oh, it's all right. Why are you doing silly things?" She thought I was crazy anyway with all the running. You're not eating enough. I keep telling you that. Well, how come you're not eating? You're too skinny. Your face, I can see that it's sucked out. It's not healthy. You're gonna get sick. I said, Grandma, I'm a runner. I said, I can't have a lot of weight on me. She said, it's not good for you though. I said, at least I'm not doing drugs. She's like, I don't get drugs. Where did that come from? You're at college and they're doing drugs now? I said, I'm not doing drugs, but the other kids do drugs. I said, what kind of drugs do they do? I said, I don't know. I don't know anything about drugs.
What were they doing back?
Who knows? They smoke. I think, it's marijuana probably, but they were but this was a lot of prep school kids, so they probably were doing coke and ecstasy. I think ecstasy was like I remember my roommate, I had a roommate the first year I was there. He was from prep school, and he was like, "There's this drug called ecstasy." No one had heard of ecstasy. No one, believe me.
Sounds so exciting.
Yeah, we know about it from the prep schools. He was telling me exactly what it was. That was the first time I ever heard anything about the drug. I knew about the drug. So when it came out, everyone's like, "Oh, I knew about that drug back in 1986." This kid told me they were doing it in the prep schools. I don't know how they were getting it, but so that was that. All right, let me pull up this picture here. Hold on a second. You tell me who this is, Chris. Okay, hold on. Share my screen.
Oh, I know which one you're gonna pull up.
The
magic picture then.
Yeah, the magic picture.
That's because the guy. That is Russ Esker when he's 18. This kid's 18.
Chris has been talking about Russ Esker
for like 7 years on this show.
About where, and you finally found a picture of him. Obviously, that's you to his right.
Because Dave, the way I found it is Scott Politano listens to this show and listens to me talk about Russ Esker. And that's a picture of him. He's either 17 or 18 there.
Now, there's a picture in the backdrop of Bev Francis hitting a most muscular pose. Where was that picture taken?
That's at Bev's gym.
Oh, it is the old original Bev's room.
That's the original gym right there.
Wow. Was Russ from Long Island?
Russ was from Massachusetts, near Jay's area. So something's in the water there. So
you guys drove down to the Bev's?
Well, I'd be up. Bev's was Bob's go-to gym. He loved it.
Well, yeah, he got along very well with them.
He liked that and Metrofit.
Right, because Metrofit was around the corner from him, yeah.
So Metrofit was really close and like way ahead of its time. And like Steve's was like, Bev's was like way out on the Long Island compared to going to Metrofit. It was really far. Yeah,
no, I know. That's why I'm wondering what you guys were doing there.
And that's Bob Gosh to the left, who was really good bodybuilder, even though he looks like crap in those But, this is, to give people
18 years old, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. Bob Gosh was really good bodybuilder on the left. To give people context, I guarantee, it's like he's probably going to get ready for a show in 16 weeks. He's probably been off for 8 months.
Right. So what's Russ Esker's problem? How come he falls off the map? Is he too young?
He's not focused. He's not passionate about it. And like Bob cuts him loose because Bob put a lot of effort into people, including Russ. And if you didn't give Bob, effort back, then, at some point he would just whoosh, cut the line.
Right.
But I mean, look at that, 17, 18 years old.
It's crazy.
And you get 18-year-olds today, they might look this kid, please, do you think this kid's on he's on gumdrops, for God's sake?
You think he could have gone all the way?
This was Bob's guy who said could go all the way to the Olympia.
Wow.
To win
How
the
tall
Olympia.
was he?
I always used to ask Bob, who's number one? Who's number one? Who's number one? Who's number one? Out of just curiosity,
Right.
And he'd always be reluctant, to say, and he'd say, here's the singer. Russ is, I don't know if he can get that. He's short schnitzel. I don't know what the go-to Jewish food because he was Jewish.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
He could have been the best Jewish bodybuilder of all time.
Of all time.
Wow. That's, I'm glad we got a picture finally of him. That's great.
Isn't that crazy, Dave? I've been saying for years.
I know.
Anyone got a picture of Russ Esker? The only one who has it is Bob. It's in his basement.
Yeah. The Bob's prodigy that never became.
And this is probably, this has got to be 80s, like early 80s right here.
Yeah. Interesting. What's let's look at the Jerry Scalisi pictures because Jerry's been putting up a ton of pictures on his page. I think I would almost, if I had to guess, I would say Bob liked him the best because he's got the most stuff of anyone.
Who, Jerry?
Yeah.
Oh, he loved Jerry.
That's a weird picture.
Jerry, you're eating too much food.
That's a good shot.
I think Bob had Jerry on one meal a day for a while.
Because Jerry wouldn't do cardio, that's why. Look at that.
But one meal a day.
Dan Laurie, Muscles Training Illustrated. How funny is that?
Look at the legs, pecs.
It's crazy.
There's a better one that he just posted up. Did you see that?
I'm looking. There's some defenders pictures. Hold on. Look at that.
Look at that.
It's crazy.
He'd be in the 212 class there. How would he do?
Oh.
Look at the abs.
He'd be 212 Olympia champ, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because no one has those legs. Jerry told me all he did was squat. He wouldn't do anything else for legs. Is that true?
Yeah. It's funny. I asked him too. I asked him that same thing. What do you do for legs? He said squats. And then I asked him, what do you do for cardio? He just looked at me in a daze.
He wouldn't do cardio. Bob wanted him to. He said he wouldn't do it.
My workouts are like cardio. If you can stick with me through the leg workout, you know you don't need cardio.
Was that Maholics gym?
That could be. Let's see.
Bob took a ton of pictures of him.
Look at the pecs.
Yeah. This is in the 80s, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, this is probably 84. This picture right here.
Man, if Jerry came along 10 years after, he would have been on the IPP Pro stage for sure. Unbelievable. A lot of great people, a lot of great guys, man.
So you go over to Bob's house, and now I won't shut up about it, right? You go over, and Bob would be there, Doug would be there, people would be there, it'd be like my hotel room at a bodybuilding show. You know what I mean? It's like, no, come over
at this little crappy house in the middle of the Bronx. Yep. It's not like it was in a glamorous area. It was really not.
Whose side are you?
I'm on Jerry's Facebook page. Look at this picture of Jerry as a kid, teenager. You could tell he has a good structure here.
Yeah.
Look at the paneling on the wall. I had the same paneling. I think we all did. How funny is that? Look at he get good pecs there. Probably 100%,
shoulders too.
Probably 100% natural. Yeah,
of course he is.
It's great. He's got some good pics. What great pictures that Bob took of him. Look at that shot. Great. Really, really impressive. So let's talk about my Dan Solomon interview. Did you watch it?
I did not watch it.
I should have watched it.
But I can give my opinion.
I interviewed Dan, and about the Olympia. We went through everything, and Dan really. It was I thought it was the best interview I've ever done with him. I think it was one of the best interviews he's ever done, period, because it was really real. And I asked him, I started out the interview right off the bat after saying, "Hey, Dan, what's up? I don't want to know about all the plans for the Olympia. Well, is Kai Green doing the Olympia?" That's what I wanted to know. Because, we were speculating with Kai putting up this posing footage. What's going on? And you know what? He was kind of gave an answer that he was pissed off at Kai, really. In a sense, he's like, I'm kind of sick of Kai dangling this carrot already, which means they obviously reached out to Kai
as predicted,
and made him an offer, which was probably very good. And Kai probably is still playing the old, well, I don't know, And then he's putting up videos and showing how he looks, and everyone's like, oh, Kai looks great, he could do great. And meanwhile, he's not committing to anything. So Dan's like, I'm sick of it already. I don't even want to I don't even want to talk about Kai, anymore, because, I would love to see Kai on the Olympia stage. I'm sure everyone would, he said. But if I can't, if I can't sit down with this guy and get a substantial answer out of him, what are we going to do? It's ridiculous. I think I'm a little tired of it already, and I don't blame him. He's trying to put on a show. He's trying to sell the Mr. Olympia show. And he can't get a freaking straight answer out of Kai if he wants to. If Kai doesn't want to do it, he should just tell Dan, I'm not doing it. I don't have any interest in it. Right? Why is he teasing everyone? The first person who commented on Dan's Olympia announcement that it was moved to, the Planet Hollywood in December was Kai. Oh, great. That's great news. Glad they got the right new people in there. Almost like teasing people like, oh, I think I might do the show. And really, if you think about it, Kai's got no excuse not to do the show now, because his excuse before was that he didn't want to do it because he didn't like, AMI, the way he was being treated by them. They're gone. You said right off the bat, Kai will never compete again. You still stick by that?
I've been saying it since...
Tyson's going to fight again. They say with Tyson Holyfield. They're trying to hook up.
I've been saying it for a while. I don't think he's competing. I was saying that. I've been saying that since he lost the prejudgment to Derrick, and I just felt that he was not going to compete anymore.
Right.
And
too much stress.
Yeah, and sometimes there's a risk reward. Right now he's got the mystique of, well, if Kai ever competed, he could have, he would have, he should have, or he be number one.
Yeah, but you know what,
Dave? But if you carry through and you go and you get beat by not only one person but two people,
right? Then
your mystique is in the toilet.
Yeah, but you know what? Who cares? Because you make money.
He cares.
I know, evidently he does. But you know what? Mike Tyson is going to go out and fight at 53 years old, and if he gets his ass kicked, he's still going to put $20 million in his pocket, and he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, but the thing is, Kai can make a lot of money doing what he's doing.
No, I know that, but the funny thing is, he legitimately has a chance to win the Olympia.
That's part of the risk is losing. The reward is winning.
Right.
And the reward is not big enough for him.
If Tyson still had the same punching power he did when he was in his 30s, you think he would even hesitate to go into the ring? Of course he would. He'd go against anyone if he had that. Kai still has all the punching power that he did when he was younger.
Well, that remains to be seen.
Yeah. Yeah. True, but we've seen the pictures of him. You can't really hide your physique in bodybuilding. Unless he's morphing the pictures or something like that. Which I don't think he is in the videos. The guy is obviously big still. It's not like not like he's pulling a Lavroni where he's got to try to catch up and put on 30 pounds of muscle to get on the Olympia stage. The guy is there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what it is. But anyway, Dan gave us some good stuff, and I think the Olympia is going to be really, really entertaining. I think it's going to be exciting. Obviously, hopefully, all the COVID kind of restrictions are going to be loosened up by then, which I think they are. Like I said, the gyms are opening in Florida here on Monday. I know not all states are going to be like that. Probably a lot of them will wait till June 1st to open, but it's good. I think things are starting to get back to normal. I think that they're starting to, the IFBB and NPC are setting their schedules now, and they're realizing, hey, I think this seems like realistic that we're going to have at least a second half of the season. And that's giving people, something to focus on now. I know there's a lot of depressed people out there. We talked about this last time with the death of Luke Sando. But it is what it is, Now, I saw that there's John Meadows did a heart attack update. He kind of did a video explaining what happened to him. And how he was in the gym and he was training and he felt this pain in his sternum and, he was trying to, maybe like rest a little bit and hope it didn't go away, deep breathing, all this stuff. And they had to call an ambulance. When you have to call an ambulance, you could be going down for the count. That's a scary, scary, scary thing. I thought I was having a heart attack once, and it turned out it was an anxiety attack, but I was fucking scared out of my freaking mind, and I had Amanda drive me right to the hospital, the emergency room. So he really had to go. I mean, and he gets in there in the ambulance and they're running an EKG and he's like, oh, what's going on? They're like, well, you're having a heart attack. What goes through your mind when they tell you that, like I went in there and said, am I having a heart attack? Am I having a heart attack? Like, you're not having a heart attack. I still didn't feel great. I still was panicking, but they actually told him you're having a heart attack. That's scary.
Yeah. First thing you think of is like,
he's got kids. He's got a young kid.
Yes, you just took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Start worrying about your kids right away.
So he got in there and they cathed him. They found out that he had 2 blockages. It wasn't like a coronary artery disease blockage. It was a blood clot. Now he had 10 years prior, might even be longer than that now, when he had that. You remember when he had part of his colon die off and he had to have the whole thing removed? That was due to also a blood clot. So I don't know if he's got some clotting issues that he has to address. Obviously, they have him on heparin now, which is an anticoagulant. And they gave him some baby aspirin when he was obviously in the ambulance, which probably didn't do anything. And they dissolved the clots, luckily. He's very lucky. He's very lucky that they were able to do that so quickly, too. So, but now he's got to keep an eye on that. He's got to make sure that, whatever is causing him to clot doesn't happen again. I find it hard to understand how bodybuilders would even clot, especially if they're taking enough fish oil. Fish oil really is a good anticoagulant. Too good. I told you, when I took it, I didn't go off it quick enough. I was on it till 7 days out from my shoulder surgery, the second shoulder surgery. I lost like 3 pints of blood in surgery because I wouldn't stop clotting. So I don't know if maybe he just has some kind of intrinsic, idiopathic type disease.
His parents both had heart issues.
I don't know, but no, I didn't say that. But he doesn't really have a heart issue. His heart's fine. He just got a clotting issue. So when you have a clotting issue, you can throw clots anywhere, and that's scary because you get one in your lung, a pulmonary embolism, you're dead. So he's got to be very cautious about that. So, but I'm glad to see that he's doing fine, good, and he had really no residual damage. I think he said maybe he had 10%, diminished. I think he'll recover completely from this probably. So, but it's scary, it's, we're in that age now where things go wrong and you have to really pay attention to the symptoms. And he could have tried to ignore it and go home and probably would have died. So I'm glad he was smart enough to go to the hospital. No one wants to go to the hospital, and certainly no one wants to go to the hospital during COVID. But I guarantee there was no one in the hospital. That's what people are telling me. You go to the hospital, there's no one there. Everyone's saying how COVID is killing everyone, but there's no one in the hospitals. They're sending doctors home and nurses home because there's no one in there. There's no one getting sick. There's no automobile accidents because no one's driving around really,
Oh, besides COVID's not everywhere, right?
Well, I mean, it's I guess not, but even in some of the city, even in some of the big areas, it's dying down, Now, I don't even know if I should talk about it, but you saw the whole thing with the Chickarillo
I didn't see it.
fiasco.
I heard innuendo about it.
Yeah, he made some comments on the that young black kid that was shot by the two white guys recently.
Whose side is he on?
Well, he kind of was on the side of the two white guys that shot him.
You got to take a side.
I guess he picked the wrong side. A lot of people are very upset with the whole thing. I sent you the thing, right?
No, you didn't send it to me.
I sent you the screenshot of what he wrote.
No, you didn't.
I check your
Oh,
text.
you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, he took the white guys. He took the white guys' side.
So, what do you think about the whole thing?
I think at a bare minimum, it's odd that two guys chase down someone and shoot him, and the police have that on video, and there's not even an arrest made.
Yep.
At a bare minimum. Like if you and I were out somewhere and we shot another person, don't you think we'd be arrested? People would knock on our door and say, Palumbo, you got to come down, spend a few nights in jail.
Yep. 100% they would.
So you usually err on the side of caution and say, maybe the guy who was shot by two people while being chased, maybe we'd give him the benefit of the doubt rather than the people chasing down the guy who they shot and say, you know what, I'm going to give the people who shot him the benefit of the doubt. That is the starting point. And
that's
everything else, Dave, is conjecture because I don't know what happened in detail.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what happened in detail.
Nope.
But it's not like they chased him down and tackled him and punched him. They killed him.
Yeah. Terrible. And Bob took down the post because he was instructed to, I think, by Jim Mannion, and put up some kind of a very weak apology. He wrote a bunch of things about, the facts of the way he saw them, and that's fine. He's entitled to his opinion, but probably not a good idea when you're in an industry where probably most of the athletes are African American, and I know a lot of people were very upset. I'm not going to say who they were, but his good friend Sean Ray was upset. He was blasting him on the post. He called me and told me he was really upset. I think that people shouldn't share their political views, especially if they're controversial. If you want to be a celebrity in our industry, I think it's dangerous.
You mean you don't want me to talk about dumb Trump?
No, but you probably shouldn't. But you know what? We could talk about anything on here. But I'm just saying, when you start talking about race and religion, that's tough because everyone has their own opinion, and he obviously has a slightly, racist opinion on it, at least that's the way it came off. I don't know if Bob's a racist. I've never heard him say anything racist or anything like that, but it came off that way. And if anything that you say can be construed or misconstrued as racist, you probably shouldn't say it. Just because even if you don't really mean it in a racist way and you're just trying to say something practically and I think that you should just stay away from there. I think it's too dangerous to talk about that, especially in today's society where everyone is so sensitive about things like that. But the guy just got gunned. I mean, the guy just got gunned down. I mean, what could he possibly have done wrong? That he deserved to get shot. I mean, that's ridiculous.
There's nothing wrong with being sensitive. I mean, I make fun of Donald Trump, and yet I totally get when people who support him would get pissed. That's not to say I can backtrack and say, some policies that Trump has, I actually agree with.
Right.
But I mean, it's not.
But disagreeing with Donald Trump's policies is a lot different than saying, well, this African American kid who got gunned down probably might have deserved it.
It's fine to be sensitive. It's fine to be racially sensitive on issues when you see something that by all means and all angles looks offensive, and to call it out as offensive.
Right.
I mean, you can go all the way back to
well, but he took the other side. He didn't call it as offensive. He said, "I think I agree with it. You know, that maybe he should have run the other. He shouldn't have run toward the gun. Or
it's offensive on. It's offensive if you see the injustice. It's offensive on behalf of the person who was gunned down.
Right.
And if you're black, it's offensive to enough where you have to call in the idea of race. And even if you don't call in the idea of race, it's just offensive, period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to run down a guy and shoot him, and his crime was what? So you decided to be judge and jury and take him out?
Right. That's
offensive.
Yeah.
It's okay to be sensitive and be appalled by it.
Those guys would have shot him if he was white, and that's where this whole thing goes. And so it's we still live in it. We still live in a racist society. It's very sad.
You can say they would never have shot him if he was white, but still the idea if he was white and they shot him, they still were not arrested.
I know. Crazy.
I mean, so it's not like so you can go out and kill someone. They can have pretty solid evidence that someone was killed,
right?
And it's just floating around. We're gonna wait to get enough evidence to make an arrest.
Yeah, the whole thing's crazy. But the point is that I'm not even talking about the case because I don't know that much about it. I haven't investigated it. But Bob should never have said anything about it. I mean, it's just in poor taste. I don't even know. I think he just thinks that whatever his opinions are, that everyone else agrees with everything he says. And I don't know. I just think it was a bad move on his part. But let's change gears here for a second. I posted a picture on my Instagram. I found in my drawer of Derrick Anthony. Remember Derrick, our good friend? And a lot of people responded very, emotionally and favorably. And I'm going to pull that up for a second here. Let's get that up there. Derrick was a very good friend of mine. I had met him in a nightclub, believe it or not, when he was 19. He was walking around with a sleeveless shirt on there. And I'm like, I felt like I was like Bob Grushkin. I was like, holy, who the fuck is this guy with these huge arms? I was like, I gotta go talk to this kid. And, we talked and I said, yeah, you should really compete. And he's like, yeah, I really want to. And I said, I'll help you. And I started working with him and he did the collegiate nationals that year, maybe 6 months later. And he placed third. This is when the collegiate nationals was a tough show. And I thought he was going to go on to do really great things in bodybuilding, but he didn't have the head for it. He didn't like getting critiqued by people, and he took things sensitive. He was personal. So he kind of found his own little niche. He was one of Derrick. I got to give Derrick credit because Derrick was a hothead and he made some stupid decisions along the way. But the thing that I think that he really pioneered the whole YouTube video thing. He was ahead of his day because he would go on YouTube and scream at the screen and do rants. If things were monetizable back then, he would have probably been making a freaking fortune because no one did that back then. I thought he was crazy when he was doing it. I'm like, what are you doing? He'd be on there for 20 minutes screaming at people, giving his opinions. And I'm like, it was ahead of his time. No one did that. And like I said, if he could have monetized those videos, he probably would have made a fortune off of it. But he couldn't, he couldn't take criticism. He took everything too personal that everyone said about him. But he loved to fight with these people. And I think, he had high blood pressure because of it. And he wound up, destroying his kidneys. And he was non-compliant with the kidney, transplant procedures. And unfortunately, he wound up dying because of it at only 31 years of age. It was an absolute shame that we lost him. He was a good guy. He had so much to offer the world, and he couldn't just be balanced. He was just always angry at everyone.
Yeah, he had a good physique.
Had a great physique when he first started.
Yes, he did.
He kind of ruined it a little bit, with the overuse of the synthol and everything like that. But he had a good. I'm telling you, when I saw him at 19, Bob ever saw him somewhere around, he would have grabbed him. I'm telling you, he had the tools to go all the way too. But yeah, I miss him, But I found the pictures. I think I put it up, and people seem to like it.
His arms jimmied up in that picture.
Probably a little bit. I don't think he'd gone.
Tricep to bicep looks awfully jimmy.
Yeah, he probably would. He went crazy with this stuff. He loved shooting his arms. And the funny thing was, isn't it always weird that the guys with the good arms will shoot their arms? Greg Valentino has great arms too before he shot his arms. Unbelievable arms, natural arms. And they were awesome.
Agreed. They want the biggest arms.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think he was also, not only was he a pioneer with YouTube, but he was a pioneer in the sense like he was like the first Rich Piana, really. If you think about it, he was Rich Piana without a marketing plan, because he had the tattoos all over himself. This is pre-tattoos, really. He only had a couple here, but he was covered in tattoos. His arms were all jimmied up. His shoulders. He was the first Rich Piana, but he just didn't have a good way to make money from it, And he was driving me nuts. I had to let him go. I had to say, Derrick, you can't do the TV show with us anymore. You're fighting with people on the show. Him and Romano almost went fist fight on the show. I said, go do your radio show on your own, because I was engineering a radio show for him, the Derrick Anthony show. So he did it on his own. He was successful with it. It was, people liked it. It was crazy, but it was, once again, it was ahead of his time. If he would have had it on YouTube, like we do, like a show like this, it would have been a hit, because as much as you might hate Derrick, you couldn't stop listening to him, because whatever he said was like golden that came out of his mouth, because he had his own shtick, his own insanity.
Ulrich thought he could go all the way. You know Ulrich, right?
Ulrich loved him. I'll tell you something. When I had to go do an appearance in Hawaii, Ulrich brought him to Hawaii, do photo shoots, supposedly. And he was out there with me the whole like for 5 days. He was shooting with Ulrich during the day, and then he would come and hang out.
How much fun did you guys have, huh?
Oh, we had a great time. Yeah, it was really fun. That was the first year I went to Hawaii. I went 2 years in a row. And the first year I went to Hawaii, that's when Keith Jones, the promoter, brought everyone out. I told that story. Flex Wheeler. Flex had to have a Ferrari. They rented for him. That was one of his stipulations. He wanted to be paid in a Ferrari like for the week or something like that. And Flex fucking blew the transmission on it, and they had his credit card on file, and he wound up getting charged like $30,000 or something like that to fix the transmission.
How did he blow the transmission?
Because he was driving it like a fucking nutcase. He was like, stepping on. He was beating on it, because he figured, it's a rental car. What do I care?
Yeah.
But he beat on it too much. Or maybe he thought it was on that the insurance would cover it. I don't know what he thought, but he destroyed the transmission. Remember that.
In 5 days.
Yeah. He was out there. Who else was out there? Sean Ray was out there. All the usual suspects.
Where'd you stay when you're out there in Hawaii?
I don't remember what hotel he had us in. It wasn't a glamorous hotel, but it was nice. It was all right that first year.
What was your first impression of Hawaii?
Oh, it was like I said, this is paradise, man. I should just live here. I should just move here. And when you go to Hawaii, you almost want to say like, I got to move here and buy a little shack, like a little house, beach house, and just never go back to normal society. That's like the fantasy when you're in Hawaii. Like, if I could do that, I'll be a happy man, right?
Dave, it's the only state in the country where I have a real estate license, or had.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's right. You told me that. You told me that.
I went out there. When I went out there, I used to.
Saying, right?
Yeah. Someone said, I was training someone who said, why don't you get a real estate license, and when you're done with college, just come out here.
That's great. Is there enough business in Hawaii to do? I mean, I guess
yeah.
There must be. I know everything is very expensive there. Very expensive.
When I was there, everyone from Japan was buying condos there. So
wow.
we would go take Dave, when I took the course for the real estate license, there were like 500 people in the class.
Oh my God. Really?
It would make you millions.
Oh,
That's
weird. That's funny.
And And it was everyone from, people old, young, in between,
You must have been like, what am I doing here with all these fucking people?
Yeah. So who I was going to be working for, they were going to train me so long as I had my license.
Right. And you never went over. You never went
because
through
I got stuck in LA with bodybuilding. I got like.
Oh, so you were going to go back? You were going to go back there?
I was going to go back. That was my plan. It was going to be bodybuilding goodbye.
Can you imagine if you would have succeeded in real estate there? You probably would have made a lot of money. You would have been like living like living the lifestyle there.
I would have had my lanai overlooking like Diamond Head. I'd be watching vicariously like bodybuilding stuff. I'd still be watching bodybuilding stuff probably 2020. The Olympia.
Yeah. The funny thing is that Maui, the island, the main island, the island everyone goes to is Oahu, which is where Honolulu is, and that's probably where you would be working because that's where all the real estate is. But really, the Maui is the most laid back, beautiful island. And my friend Tom Okerman lives there. That's who I went and visited when I was there, and it's just like it's a different world you're in there. It's a completely different world. There's everyone's just laid back on their own time frame there. It's like kind of like a resort island. If you don't work for the hotels, you don't make money there pretty much. But there's no nightlife or anything like that. It's just beaches there.
I was out there when I was really young, and I ran into and used to hang out with Arnold's best man at Arnold's wedding.
Who's that?
Was Frank might have been a best man, but he was in the whoever the 5 guys, lifelong friends who Arnold had at Arnold's wedding. He's in the book Education of a Bodybuilder. You see a picture of Arnold and him in front of his private plane. It's a small little private plane.
Right. Who's the guy?
I'm trying to think of his name. He's a business guy.
So you became friends with him?
Became somewhat friends with him. I remember going over his house, Dave, and the house was on the rocks overlooking the ocean. It was like I'd never been in a house like that before.
Wow, that's cool.
And then I remember him one day like talking to Arnold on the phone, and I was like, wow, he's talking to Arnold. That's crazy.
So
what was his name? What was his name? If you picture, anyhow.
With Arnold, what was his relation to Arnold?
One of his Bill Drake.
Oh, okay.
Bill Drake, Google it.
I'm good. I'm pulling it up right now.
Bill Drake Arnold. And he was retired and living in Honolulu. And one day I met him in the gym, and he said, "Oh, you got a crazy physique." And we used to chit chat back and forth, and I just thought he was like a weirdo. And like, why is this guy so into bodybuilding? He said, I'm great friends with Arnold. I'm like, oh, then he's real weird.
Yeah.
And then, he gave me his card, and it said Bill Drake, blah, blah, blah. I forget. I don't know what his business was, but he was retired fairly young to be retired. And then I remember I had read that book. It was one of my favorite books ever, Education of a Bodybuilder.
Sure.
I remember him being in it.
That's
but
funny.
I was such a non-groupie type person.
Where did he meet Arnold?
I think in Columbus. He has some connection with Lormers. Maybe he was in insurance or something.
Interesting. Arnold talks about him in his book because there's an excerpt I see here, and I Googled on his book where he talks about him. It's called the book Total Recall that he wrote.
What's he have to say about it?
I don't want to go looking it up.
When you look at Arnold's wedding photos, there's like 5 men other than Arnold in it. All in the same tuxes and Bill's in all those pictures.
Right.
I can't believe I can remember that name, Bill Drake.
But you said how did you meet him?
I met him at the gym. He used to like to train and stuff, and he fashioned himself a bodybuilding expert because he knew Arnold.
Okay.
So he'd come over and say, do you compete, blah, 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 and talk. And And then I told him what I was doing and blah, 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 real estate. He said, good move. You know, Arnold does real estate. That's why we name dropped Arnold's name in there.
Right. And he lived in Hawaii?
He had the craziest house, Dave. It was multi-gazillion-dollar house built onto the rocks.
Oh, wow. What did he do for a living again? He was a lawyer?
I think he was. I don't know how he got his money. In those days, I was not bold enough to say, how much money do you have and how'd you get it?
Right.
Is it easy? Because if it's easy, I want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. No, nothing's easy. Nothing's easy. You probably saw you had a picture up on your Instagram of with what's his name? Eduardo Correa. What's going on with him?
He's in lockdown like everyone else in Brazil.
Is he going crazy? I can't imagine him not having his own gym.
He doesn't have his own gym, but I'm sure he has the keys.
He
doesn't have to sneak into the window.
Right. I'll tell you one thing. Speaking of creative people during this lockdown, my good friend Mr. G, Mr. G, he has this. I got to get him to send you because you'd probably eat it. The Jumbo Palumbo cookie. Have you seen this? I talked about it. Mr. G created a jumbo. I'm going to put it up. The Jumbo Palumbo cookie, and he sent it out to me, and he sent it to everyone. He sent it to Romano and Valentino, and he's been. I said, look, I don't want anything. He uses like my isolized protein in there. It's 50 grams of protein. It's like 1,500 calories. This thing. It's 7 ounces. It's 7 inches around the diameter. It's like the diameter is 7 inches across.
It's like a T-bone steak.
Yeah, I think it's got more calories. It's got way more calories. And
the question is, how much does it cost?
They're delicious. They're absolutely delicious. You can order from his website, Mr. Potts Protein. I'm gonna have him send you some. You'll send me your address. I'm gonna forward that to you because he's been selling so many of these cookies, Chris. Now he's got a jumbo light coming out. I'm waiting to get mine in the mail. It comes in this like tin. Let me see if I can pull the tin up. Right there. You see that tin?
Where is he selling these things? Just online?
He's selling them on his website, MrPottsProtein.net. And he's got all these. They're dipped in chocolate or white chocolate, chocolate. He's got walnut chocolate. The cookies. You get this whole tin. You remember the old tins you'd get like on Christmas with the cookies in them? That's what that picture you're looking at right now. That's the tin. That's the outside of the tin. Am
I misreading that? Does that look like $59.95 for the cookie?
Yeah, but you get multiple cookies in there. It's not just one cookie. Yeah, no, it's not. It's really not a ripoff when you figure out how much protein you're getting in there. I think he's not charging enough.
I have 2 sets of glasses. I'm saying,
yeah.
Do I see that? Is that the right price for one cookie? $59.95.
No, you get.
What are the ingredients besides hydrolyze? Fiberlyze or whatever.
There's 250. He wrote milligrams of it. 250 grams of carbs in it. 50 grams of protein. And there's 36 grams of fat. So he uses my isolized protein, dark chocolate protein.
Use your fatty,
grass-fed butter. It's all natural ingredients, Chris. I know it sounds like a lot of like bad stuff, but it's isolized protein, omega-3 eggs, grass-fed butter, flour, and cane sugar. That's it. There's definitely sugar in there, but it's a cookie, for God's sakes. But I'm telling you, I feel comfortable giving it to my kids because it's all natural ingredients,
Put a little teaspoon of Clorox in there for good measure.
But Bob would be like, you could have one of these cookies over the course of a week.
Oh yeah.
You can make this last a week. You can eat it. So.
No, he'd chop it into little small pieces and put it on top of it.
Yeah, Jerry, take a little piece. Carb you up.
That's enough.
Little sugar. Get a little sugar in you. So that's Mr. G's cookie. So I don't own any part of it. I don't have any profit. Mr. G's a good friend of mine. So I said, you could make the Jumbo Palumbo cookie. So he's got the Jumbo lights coming out. I'm waiting for those to come to my house. I feel more comfortable.
I don't know. What if he makes millions on it and then you're on the label? You might want to get.
I told him, I said, look, if you make a lot of money, he advertise. He told me since we started this last 2 weeks ago, I think this past month he sold. What did he tell me he sold? He sold he had 2,500 people come to the website since we started like just talking about it on after hours. because Valentino loves the cookies. Matter of fact, he saw me eating a cookie on like one of the shows we did when he was in the hospital with the throat cancer. And he actually said and he couldn't eat, obviously, because he had throat cancer. Yeah, he said the cat's coming. He said, that's all I wanted. Everyone kept asking me, what can we get you? I just want one of those fucking jumbo Palumbo cookies. Because that's all I want. You know how when you can't eat, you want like the most ridiculous things? So I had George send him that, and he ate the whole tin in like one day. You know, I said, Greg, do you realize you just ate like 6,000 calories? I think there's 4 cookies per tin, which that's not it's not that bad.
Dave, when I got once I had a cancer surgery.
Right. What did you want? What did you crave?
I wanted the minute takes my eyes open. What's the first thing I want? Cup of coffee.
Right.
That's right. And then on the way home, I demanded we stop for an ice cream cone.
Oh, is that what you wanted? Yeah.
And my wife didn't want to stop, and I was like getting crazy.
Were you on interferon yet?
No, I was just like whatever you. Yeah, just come out. I had major surgery and just I'm awake and okay. They just
what did they have to remove from you? Just that little patch, or what did they do?
That was lymph nodes that time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a little more serious.
So
that's that big incision on his throat. That's not from the cancer. That's the lymph node they took out. That's what he's got the big scar from.
So we go through was a drive-through ice cream place.
Your wife is probably like, he's insane.
Yeah. And we're going back to the condo where Jay used to come up and would be in the videos and stuff. And I get the ice cream, and I said, "No, I want a jumbo one, like a jumbo one." I soft it down, and we pull up in front of the condo, and I get out of the car and throw it all up.
I was going to say you probably puked from the anesthesia. Yeah, that's great.
I think I didn't get. After that, my stomach hurt so much I didn't get to eat for like 2 days.
Wow, crazy. Anesthesia is terrible. I think whenever you go for surgery, the worst part is the anesthesia. I tell people that all the time. And it doesn't come out of your system that quickly. It could take up to over a week to get out of your system. So, you just don't feel right. You feel terrible. And it's not because you had surgery. It's because you had that anesthesia. The longer you're under, the worse you feel too. Trust me. It whacks you. It really whacks you bad.
It's crazy when they say, count, don't worry, now count. You say, oh, I'll make it to 10. You go 1, 2, you're out.
Yeah. Yeah, I told them when
why did they even make you count?
Because they think it's calming you down. The funny thing is I had to get a nerve block for my shoulder, and I was awake. You have to be awake when we do it because we have to know if we're in the right place. I said, well, I don't really want to know if you hit the wrong thing when you're going in there. It's like that because you won't remember this anyway. I said, I won't. He's like, no, you're not going to remember. Because he said, I said, how do you know you're in the right area where the nerve is? He goes, your arm's going to flail around. I said, I don't want my arm to flail around. I'm not really comfortable with that. He's like, you won't remember. I didn't remember. When I woke up, I had the only thing I had recollection of was him telling me that I'm not going to remember. And then I don't remember anything after that. Total amnesia, right?
I bet you remember the pain once it wears off.
You know what? I didn't have pain the second, when I had the second shoulder done, I had no pain whatsoever.
That's crazy.
It was like a little sore. I think joint replacement is better than, when you get surgery to repair muscles, that's painful. When I had my quad done the first time, the dummy didn't give me a nerve block that lasted long enough. And when I woke up, when I got home, so about 12 hours after the surgery, it wore off. They should have given me one that lasted like 36 hours. For 4 to 6 hours, I would say, after it wore off, I felt like someone had a drill out and was drilling the top of my knee, which they did during the surgery, obviously. And I couldn't get rid of the pain. It didn't matter how many pain meds I popped. I almost had to go to the hospital. That's how much pain I was in. I was going nuts. I was talking out loud. I was like breathing and doing all kinds of crazy, anything to try to get out of that pain. It was excruciating. And
how did you get out of it?
I don't know. I think I took so many Percocets. I think finally maybe something worked. I don't know. I don't know. I think it just calmed down after a while. And
so what would they normally give you for something like that so that you wouldn't feel
in the hospital? Morphine. If I was there, probably they would have given me. You knocked me out. I didn't care. I just wanted to go to sleep. At that point, I couldn't rest. You can't rest. You can't recover. It was brutal. This guy, they should never have sent me home with only a 12-hour nerve block. It was the stupidest thing of all time. Needless to say, that surgery didn't work, and I had to go back to another doctor, and that's when all my problems happened. So I blame that doctor, even though I don't really blame him, but I blame him for for things just not going the way they should. Anyway, I would never have met my wife and had my kids if I didn't have a quad surgery. So there you go.
Destined.
Everything happens the way it's supposed to. Just fine. Sometimes you just can't find the meaning in things that happen, but there's always a meaning there.
Sometimes you do a lot later and say that's why that happened.
Yeah.
Years later.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. All right. Well, there's no shows to report on, so there's no reason for us to keep talking, even though people seem to enjoy us talking about pretty much anything. I forgot. I wanted to talk about every week we've been doing a kind of a recap on different bodybuilders from the 80s and 90s, and we didn't do it this week, but we're going to go back next week. We'll go back to doing that. So if you guys have any suggestions of bodybuilders you'd like us to talk about, I'll be more than happy to do that. Who do I have on the TV show? I have
Gary Stridham. People want to talk about Gary.
A Stridham. I asked Stridham if he wanted to come on the show. I've had him on before, but I don't know what
Where's he living?
He's in Thailand. It's hard to nail down. I have John Terrillo. John Terrillo is going to be on the TV show this week. He's 61. Can you believe it? John Terrillo from Australia.
Oh yeah, John Terrillo. Yeah.
He placed second to Lee Haney at the Night of Champions. What year was that? 82? 83?
Champions, probably 83.
He told me he was a big partier. He said, I blew it. He goes,
Yeah, ask Bob. He's got Bob stories.
Oh, he's a Grushkin guy too?
No, but they were somehow paths more than crossed.
Oh, he was good. He did too much partying.
Yeah, Dave, you want to know something?
Yeah.
Dead serious. What do you think Bob said about him? Because
the girls, the party.
He lived in New York for a long time, right?
Oh, is that how Bob knew him? Okay, he might have. I don't know. I don't know his story.
I think he's Australian. He lived in, I think, New York for a while.
Oh, he might have.
And Bob said,
I think I saw his picture up at Metrofit.
He was a partier. You gotta tone it down, Johnny.
That's definitely Bob. Tell him that without a doubt. So I'm going to get his whole story, which I have a feeling is going to be very entertaining this week, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. If you have suggestions, once again, for who you'd like us to cover, bodybuilders of the past, Chris and I love to break that stuff down and talk about the old days and all the great stories that went along with those bodybuilders, because I'm sure if I don't know them, I guarantee Chris knows them, because Chris was living out in Venice. So you definitely encountered them. And maybe we'll tell Vic Richards' stories in next week's show, even though he never really competed. He's an interesting character.
Very interesting character. When Paul DeMeo won, I think he won the Nationals, he and I were flying back somewhere to go like Massachusetts and Maine or something like that. And Paul had Hutskins tights on.
Right.
Got it? Can you imagine the legs, right?
Yeah. They were, for people who don't know what they were like spandexy, tight fitting bottoms.
And he had on a tight, tight t-shirt. So Paul was not wide, really. He's not narrow, but he's not wide.
Right.
But he had the craziest triceps.
Absolutely.
So he had the crazy quads, crazy triceps. And so we get to the airport and everyone was looking at Paul because he looked crazy, right?
Yeah. He was a freak.
And then we saw this is dead serious, a huge crowd in front of us. And who were people just mind boggled with in Hutskins and a tank top, Victor Richards. And he looked twice Paul's size.
And he was in the airport?
He was in the airport. Crazy. And he looked twice, and his face was gigantic.
Yeah. Paul probably was so, Paul probably took it personally. Like he probably was like freaked out by it, right?
He called him. I can't do it. It's got that
Jamaican accent, yeah. Or Nigerian accent, actually.
Nigerian, yeah. And he called out Paul, congratulated him, and I could not believe how much bigger he was than Paul.
And Paul was huge. You know,
he weighed 252 at the Nationals that year.
right. So he probably was 20 pounds heavier.
Yeah, it was like 4 days later after eating. He was probably 270, and Victor was probably like 310. But lean.
And he was really wide and big too.
Oh yeah, crazy.
Those massive fucking legs too.
He was like a Kai, with the big legs.
Yep, with the big face too, like Kai, right?
Yeah. He almost looked. He was so bloated, but still tight everywhere that he looked Asian. His
his eyes were like slits. Yeah.
And he had a permanent smile on his face.
Yeah. He was making money. He didn't have to compete. Yeah. Weeder was giving him the fucking house, basically everything. Any
subject, he was an expert on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've interviewed him before. Yeah, I know. He knows everything. Victor Richards. You think if he ever competed, he would have been good, or it would have ruined this whole shtick?
Yeah, he would have been damn good. He would have been damn good. Damn good. He came up in 1980. What year did Sean win the Nationals?
87, right?
87? Okay. Summer of 87.
Or was it 89? I don't know.
87.
Okay.
Summer of 87, Sean Ray comes up to the bodybuilding camp where I was working for Weeder.
Right.
And I had already seen everybody. And Sean came up, and he had, this must have been, let's see, August, September, October. Maybe the Nationals was eight weeks away. He was already in shape, for sure. And he had like an Izod t-shirt on and jeans.
There's Vic.
Sean Ray. And he looked so round. He was the roundest looking small person I'd seen at that point. And the next day he came up with Victor Richards, and Victor made Sean Ray look like a tiny bantamweight.
Look at his legs in that picture.
Look at the shoulders.
Yeah, he's the monster human being, right? This must be a more recent picture of him, I think. But crazy! What a freaks.
Joe wanted him in the Olympia.
I don't know why he didn't do it. I guess he figured if he didn't do well, people would say, he's a joke, and he'd maybe lose money.
Dave, we started the show with Kai, and I said risk, reward.
Yep.
And if Victor, the fact with Victor is, if he went into a show and didn't win it, in his own mind, it was too much of a risk to take, because here I am, right? 87, 97, 207, 23 years, 30 years later, 33 years later, saying Sean was the roundest bodybuilder I'd ever seen at that point in time. And I'd seen everybody, including Lee Haney. I'm not saying the biggest, but the roundest for his frame. And Victor made him look like a joke in 87. A joke.
It's crazy. Well, we'll never know. And I guess that mystique, I remember him telling me he was making a lot of money from Weeder for many years, just for doing a couple magazine shoots a year, a couple of appearances. Weeder was also giving him pages in the magazine, which these guys sold too. Yeah. So he was making well over six figures back then a year.
Oh yeah, easy.
And he didn't have to do anything. All he had to do was eat and train.
And he did lots of guest postings too, and he charged
probably
a lot of money.
Yeah, he made a lot of money. I'm sure for that. So
people would say you've never competed, and he'd just like,
but I'm the biggest guy.
yeah, that's right. He'd pull an answer on him and say, I'm the greatest, I'm the best. He says, who else can you get who's never competed?
Right.
And you want to guest pose.
Right.
And other people did want to guest pose near him, other pros.
Oh, really? Why? Because he just made him look bad?
Oh, yeah. He'd love that.
Oh, I'm sure, right? There was that one, wasn't there that one FIBO?
With Dorian.
Where they had him guest posing against Dorian Yates.
Yeah, he looked like a crazy freak.
Let me see if I can pull that up. Because, I remember that.
But let me tell you something about Victor. If Victor knew that he was guest posing with Dorian was not going to change anything to interfere with his Olympia win. And I can guarantee you that Victor prepped for that guest posing like it was the Olympia.
Oh, I'm sure. Dorian probably didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's what I said. Dorian could care less.
That's funny. Let me see if I can pull this thing up here. This is really not a good picture, but Dorian actually looks really good in that picture.
Yeah.
Dorian was a freak. People don't realize what a fucking freak Dorian was.
Yeah, I'm sure they're both. I'm sure Victor's got to be 310 there.
Yeah, at least.
Let me see that hand. You see that hands on hips most muscular to the right? I mean the clasping most muscular. Pull that one up of Victor.
Oh, this one?
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. He's young here too, Dave, in that front double.
Yeah.
Like 20s. That's a Jason Mathis photo right there.
Good picture, yeah. At least Weider made him do photo shoots. You know, so there is some photographic evidence. It's not like us just, that's a great shot. There's not just us like saying, you know, he looked great, you know.
I mean, could you imagine if that physique came on the midsection?
Yeah.
Nothing jimmied up there either.
He's very Kai-like, he is, but he's bigger, you know.
Yeah. Dave, all I hear is the food that he eats, the food. Me, him, and Serge Nubrego out to eat. Eats like a bird.
Yeah, I know. He told me that was like a whole shtick thing. Like 30,000 calories a day. He eats 10,000 calories 2 times a day.
We go to a Chinese restaurant and he orders like 9 ounces of protein and 2 level cups of cooked rice. Serge was like 53, ate 3 times as much.
Because Serge had trained for 6 hours before.
Yeah, but it was Serge. Serge was eating 1 meal a day at that time.
What an eating sort of.
So he would train for 6 hours and then he'd go eat, and sometimes he'd have like maybe 400, 500, 600 carbs at one shot, like 6 pounds of chicken.
Oh my God!
Serge used to cook. Dave, I'd go over Serge's house.
Yeah,
and he would the first time he would cook chicken gizzards.
Oh my God! And you ate it?
Oh, they were the best.
Really?
He was the greatest cook.
Really?
Because if you can make gizzards,
you can make those taste good. You can cook anything, man.
And he would cook. He would only eat brown chicken meat. Like he would not eat like.
Oh, he wouldn't eat the breast meat.
Bodybuilders eat white meat. You need this. It's like he
what do you think this is? Yeah.
He'd say that eating chicken breast was like eating cardboard.
I mean, it's not as moist. He's right.
So he would cook the gizzards, and he'd cook the like chicken legs, but he had some process where he'd get rid of the fat. He'd filter it through. Oh God, yeah.
Like he'd boil it like 600 times over. Yeah. Which is the whole advantage of eating the dark meat anyway, right?
No, but he'd cook it in some type of like sauce too.
Really?
That would make it taste great. Yeah.
Yeah, simmer it off. All right. Well, guys, hope you're having a good week. And I know, like I said, all your Floridians out there, gyms are open now. So knock yourself out. Just be safe out there. And hopefully the rest of the country will open up as well. Hopefully, poor Louis Uridell, I think, got arrested for trying to open his gym, and hopefully all that will settle out as well. If you guys want to watch, I did a nice interview with him. It was very popular this past week. You can check it out on the RxMuscle YouTube channel or rxmuscle.com. For now, though, we're out of time. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.